I want to start off with agenda item 12. So this agenda item is specifically on our draft work plan, and so there's a lot of effort and work that's gone on over the last few months in terms of the work group. So you can see there in front of you on that single slide. At the last meeting, we conducted a review of the gap analysis that was circulated to Southwest Pacific members, and that basically answered the questions, or in part anyway, where are we now and what is the gap? There was a number of actions that were identified then through that gap analysis, and that document is available on the website, and that identified actions under each of the 3 goals of the new IHO strategic plan. Out of that came an action, action 18, for me to establish a work group to develop the work plan and priorities. The work group then was to review those actions and themes identified and develop this draft work plan. So what I'd like to do now is to move on to item 12.2 and introduce the chair of the working group for the work plan and priorities, and that is Australia. And so can I ask Australia to your presentation? Thank you, Hilary. As chair of the work group.
Good morning. Thank you, Adam.
I found Hilary. She's online right now giving a presentation.
Good morning, Kim. I'm up on the 4th floor if you'd like to join us.
Oh, she just told me, good morning, Kim. I'm up on the 4th floor.
Okay. Would you mind muting your microphone, Kim?
Oh, sorry.
Okay, thank you, Adam, and good morning, good evening, good afternoon and good night. I am pleased to present the much anticipated Southwest Pacific Hydrographic Commission Work Plan Working Group report. As Adam just mentioned, we formed out of an action from Southwest Pacific Hydrographic Commission 18, where New Zealand, the UK and the Capacity Building Coordinator volunteered to form a working group and develop a work plan. We started with terms of reference and rules of procedure, which are based on contemporary IHO working groups, and they have been agreed amongst our group, and we seek any feedback from you over the next month. They can be found on the Southwest Pacific 19 webpage with the documents for this meeting. As you can see, we have representation from 7 member states and welcome others to join us. Our current working group consists of Adam, Stuart and Deborah from Linz, Chris from the UK, Matt and John from the US, Julian from France, Gerard from Fiji, Tony from Vanuatu, and Jasbir, Rob and myself from Australia. In order to commence the work plan, we undertook some initial analysis of our current operating environment. We attempted to map our stakeholders. As you can see, we listed our member states and our associate members. We identified parts of industry. We looked at intergovernmental bodies, which you'll be familiar with, and also considered aid agencies that provide aid in our area. We looked at academic institutions, maritime safety organisations, navies and departments of defence, and regional coordination groups. This helped to set a picture of where the South West Pacific Hydrographic Commission needed to go in the future. From here, we looked at a theory of change methodology introduced to us by the UK. This was going to be used as a planning tool to help us link the goals of the IHO strategic plan with the inputs and activities that we needed to achieve as a commission. I'm just going to drop out of the slideshow here, so hopefully bear with me. Hopefully you can see a colourful spreadsheet now. This is where we mapped the theory of change model. So we took the goals of the IHO from the strategic plan and also the targets of the IHO from the strategic plan. And then we went back to basics and considered the inputs and activities that we needed to achieve to reach the intermediate and long-term outcomes that we were expecting. At this point, it became apparent that we as a South West Pacific had some additional goals beyond the expectations of the IHO strategic plan. So we created a new South West Pacific specific goal. Through this theory of change modelling, we could look at the results of the gap analysis undertaken by the capacity building plans, the MSDI working group and ICCW working group plans, and map them to the goals. We established a South West Pacific Hydrographic Commission SPI working group to focus on baselining and measuring the SPI success against these targets. After several iterations, we dropped the activities into the IHO South West Pacific Hydrographic Commission work plan, which I will just jump back to show you now. So once again, bear with me. Hopefully you can now see the presentation on a slide titled Work Plan. So I'm sure you're familiar with the IHO strategic plan goals, but I'd like to introduce you to the South West Pacific Hydrographic Commission specific goal. Achieving this goal will help us all have a louder collective voice at IHO and within other international and intergovernmental groups. So how will we achieve this? We have set some targets. We would like to see the South West Pacific represented by 2 seats at IHO Council. We would like to send a delegation of South West Pacific people to IHO Assembly 3. And we'd like to see increased participation in the South West Pacific and IHO activities in a leadership role, including the South West Pacific working groups. So how will we achieve this? Our activities that we've identified are to continue to encourage IHO membership and engagement within the region, and we're hoping that all existing member states and the IHO Secretariat will help us lead this activity. As Abri mentioned yesterday, he's open to non-member states requesting a high-level visit from the IHO Secretariat to assist in applying for IHO membership. We will also prepare an Empowering Women in Hydrography project to take some South West Pacific women to IHO Assembly 3, to empower them and encourage them to take a more active role in the South West Pacific Hydrographic Commission and the IHO more broadly. We will deliver the inaugural South West Pacific Hydrographic Commission Leaders Program, Cohort 1, which will be launched within the hour, so I won't go into too much detail to steal anybody's thunder. And we will ensure representation across the IHO working groups. To have a look at this activity, one of the inputs we identified was having an understanding of our contribution to IHO working groups already. So if you'll just bear with me, I will jump across to show you what that looks like. So hopefully on the screen now you can see a document that has IHO Assembly at the top of the screen. So we reached out to the members of the work group and asked them to provide a list of the contributions that their countries made to the IHO working groups. You probably can't read the detail. The longer the letters in the boxes here, you can see the more representatives we have at these various IHO working groups. And I think you will agree that we have a substantial contribution across many IHO working groups already. This document will also be posted on the Southwest Pacific website if you'd like to look at it in more detail. And if we've left anybody out, please let us know so we can add them to this mapping, as it was a valuable tool to see what we were able to contribute to already. I'll just jump back to the presentation. So returning to the IHO goals, goal number 1 being evolving the hydrographic support for safety and efficiency of maritime navigation undergoing profound transformation. We once again looked at the targets set by the IHO for this goal and identified activities that we in the Southwest Pacific could undertake. I'm just going to step you through the 3 highlighted ones. So this first one is for the Southwest Pacific Hydrographic Commission member states to share risk assessment and survey planning methodology via the IHO Southwest Pacific website. We're hoping that all member states who have risk assessment and survey planning methodology to share will be happy to provide this information to other member states and non-member states who would be interested in following along what we consider best practice. We're going to task the SPI working group to utilise AIS global datasets and tools to assess the navigationally significant areas against traffic density. So in your reports to the Southwest Pacific Hydrographic Commission for this meeting, hopefully you have identified navigationally significant areas within your member state coastal areas. The SPI working group will then use the AIS global dataset to look at prioritisation of surveying and charting efforts. As Adam mentioned yesterday, we will continue to share our S100 experiences and plans within the region, and we will do this through the ICCWG. Having a look now at Goal 2, increasing the use of hydrographic data for the benefit of society. The activities that I would like to focus on: undertaking and discovering a catalogue exercise for Southwest Pacific Hydrographic Commission coastal states of their existing marine spatial data holdings. We're hoping that the MSDI working group will take the lead on this activity and be able to uncover the maritime spatial data already held and make it rediscoverable for others to utilise, along the principles of fair data management and accessibility. We will continue to promote crowdsourced bathymetry and satellite-derived bathymetry tools and methodologies in the Southwest Pacific, with the assistance from the IHO Crowdsourced Bathymetry Working Group and the Southwest Pacific Crowdsourced Bathymetry Seabed 2030 Coordinator, otherwise known as STUART. We will engage within the regional organisations and encourage member states to share data within the region and adopt open data policies. We'll do this through all coastal states and the MSDI working group, and we'll hear more about open data policies later today. Turning our attention now to Goal 3. Which is participating actively in international activities related to the knowledge and sustainable use of the ocean. The activities we've identified that I'd like to highlight are continuing to deliver the useful and topical workshops. Currently we have 2 funded through IHO capacity building, one on hydrographic governance, which we're hoping to be able to deliver in a face-to-face manner alongside the Southwest Pacific Hydrographic Commission 20 meeting next year in 2023, and also the workshop on MSI. We're hoping that we will run this virtually later this year. When the new IMO regional representative is appointed, we will intend to engage with them actively within the region. We're going to continue to encourage member states and coastal states to supply data to Seabed 2030 and therefore on into the IHO DCDB. And in particular, we would like member states or coastal states to consider supplying their E&C sounding data as a starting point. And we will work with the IHO Secretariat to ensure that their digital communication strategy covers the needs in our region. So where to next? We have circulated this version of the work plan and hope you have had time to review it, and welcome any feedback to be provided to the group by the end of March. We are keen to understand what activities are important to you to help with prioritisation, and if you would like to take the lead in any of these activities, we would be more than welcome to accept your nomination. All going well, we will publish version 1 of the South West Pacific Hydrographic Commission Work Plan 2022 to 2024 in April this year and turn our focus to the implementation and how we will measure and report to you on our success, our collective success, I should say. We've also commenced work on a strategic overview as a one-page place that you can go to communicate the objectives, outcomes, purpose, and benefits of the South West Pacific Hydrographic Commission to member states. We will continue to work with you on this and circulate for review in the coming months when we have finessed the words a little bit more. We are looking for a catchy tagline if you wish to suggest one. I particularly liked Geraldine's to the point IALA, keep ships off rocks, that she mentioned yesterday. So something along those types of lines we would like to have on here to have a catch line for our work plan and our strategic focus. I'd like to take the opportunity to thank the members of the South West Pacific Hydrographic Commission Work Plan Working Group who have met fortnightly since early December and in the last month weekly. For Fiji, Vanuatu, Noumea, Australia and New Zealand, this has been in normal working hours. But for our colleagues in the US and Singapore-based UK, this has stretched the definition of normal hours. But I thank you for prioritising your support and participation in this work group over times when you could have been sleeping. I'd also like to thank Commodore Dunn and Adam Greenland for empowering this woman in hydrography to take a more active role in the South West Pacific by chairing this work plan working group. Tick. I look forward to hearing your thoughts and comments on our work plan to 2024. And I ask that the South West Pacific Hydrographic Commission 19 note this report and progress made by the work group since its inception, provide feedback on the draft terms of reference and rules of procedures by the end of March, and these can be found on the South West Pacific Hydrographic Commission website, provide feedback on the draft work plan as we've presented this morning, and in particular, if you wish to be a lead, consider timeframes and your priorities. We would like this information also by the end of March this year. Also ask that you note the development of the South West Pacific Hydrographic Commission Strategic Overview as a work in progress and take any other actions as considered appropriate. Thank you.
Thank you, Hilary. It was remiss of me not to introduce you initially. Is there some feedback? Is there?
They're trying.
Okay. Sorry. Yes. Thank you, Hilary. Just to say that Hilary Thompson is the acting executive director at one of the acting executive director at the Australian Hydrographic Office in Wollongong, New South Wales. And I would also like to say a personal thank you to Hilary for leading this piece of work and ensuring that we delivered to this piece of work as well. I think Hilary was indicating there, we had quite a challenge on our hands in terms of time zones and organising ourselves to be ready for this meeting. So you have seen the working the work plan now. Bear in mind, it is a work in progress. Okay, so we have presented that draft to you as a proposal. We are looking for feedback by the end of March, and all being well, we would like to get this published and out in terms of and out to you and start to implement some of those actions. Some of them are already being implemented, and you'll hear more about that in the next 2 or 3 presentations. And that would be maintained annually. So I'm really happy to take any questions, any feedback, as we have some time now. So I'll open the discussion to the floor. So I can see that I have the IHO Director, Abri Kampfer. Abri, please go ahead.
Yeah, I'm very disappointed that there's not an applause button here somewhere, and I can only raise one hand. Hilary, absolutely impressive. Well done to you and your team. To break it down to this level where it's got more meaning for the region, easy to understand, with achievable outcomes. It's absolutely, that is something that you must definitely share with IRCC, Adam. Again, you are leading the pack, so well done. Thank you.
Thank you, Abri. Helen Phillips, please go ahead.
Hi, yes, thank you. On behalf of the MSDI working group, just wanted to say, recognise the effort that's gone into this. You can really see it, it's very clear. A lot of work has gone in, so thank you very much for that. In terms of the MSDI working group, we really appreciate having that common focus and something that we're going to be working towards, and we're really looking forward to getting started on this and continuing the work we've already done. Thank you.
Thank you, Helen. Certainly the MSDI working group is a key contributor to this work plan in leading some of these activities. So we appreciate your support, as we have had over the past year. So looking forward to implementing this with you. Okay, any other comments or feedback? Perhaps Hilary, if you could throw up the last slide.
Just bear with me.
Okay, so what we have there is the actions requested of this meeting, this conference. So wish you to note the report and progress made. There's an action there to provide feedback on the draft terms of reference and rules of procedure by the end of March. Also to provide feedback on the draft work plan. And as we say, in particular, the proposed leads timeframes, and hearing about your priorities, certainly from all coastal states in the region. So there's an action there. And note the development of that strategic overview as a work in progress. So if you conference is happy, and I'm not hearing anything to the contrary at this point in time, we'll take those. We'll note 1 and 4, and we will take 2 and 3 as actions. Okay. Thank you, conference, and thank you, Hilary. Again, we appreciate the time and effort, Hilary, that you have put into chairing this work group. We certainly couldn't have done it without you. I'm now going to move on to item 12.3, and I'd like to introduce to you Stuart Kai, and we are now going to review the strategic performance indicators as given to us through IRCC, and we share with you. We're going to share with you the progress that we have made as a in the Secretariat and within the working group in how we intend to measure these SPIs, and also there is possibly some questions we need to pass back to IRCC. So I'll hand over now to Stuart Kai.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Chair. Okay, so just intro. So the subgroup, I think as Hilary mentioned, we were established under the Work Plan and Priorities Working Group, and the main purpose of the subgroup was to review the strategic performance indicators as per the IRCC circular letter listed there, and the presentation has a link to that particular annex. And really it's to consider how do we as a Regional Hydrographic Commission report on progress in meeting those SPIs. So a big thank you to the members of the subgroup, so to Australia, the UK and the US in your time in supporting this and contribution and the discussions we've had. We've had at least 3 meetings to work through these SPIs. So really the focus of the subgroup and the SPIs where the Regional Hydrographic Commission or the CB coordinators are responsible or are providing a supporting role. And so what I'll do now is we'll just go through very briefly to a certain extent the SPIs as per the IRCC circular letter, and where it is where a Regional Hydrographic Commission or the CB coordinator has a responsibility. So under Goal 1, evolving hydrographic support, number of targets, and our SPI is listed there. So the percentage of navigationally significant areas, and again that was something that Hilary mentioned and something that we've instigated within the national reports, and thank you to those who have taken the time to complete that table. So we will then, so that information is helping us and hydrographic offices and coastal states to understand the areas and then work through for that SPI. Similarly under Goal 1, different target, use of capacity building and training, their SPI, the ability and capability of member states to meet requirements, particularly for S100 implementation plan. So this is being supported by the capacity building coordinators of each Regional Hydrographic Commission. Moving to Goal 2 and Target 2.1, the responsibility here lies with the MSDI Working Group, but as a Regional Commission, I think with our South West Pacific Hydrographic Commission MSDI Working Group, then there's a role to play. Certainly as Adam has mentioned to Helen, and Helen's contributed as well. So we'll be working through that in support role. One that we're going to be responsible for under, again, Goal 2, Target 2.2, and that particular SPI, percentage of adequately surveyed area per coastal state. So again, this is information that's going to be taken from National Report C55, but also looking at maybe a project to try to understand that further. Similarly under Goal 2, the particular SPI, number of hydrographic offices reporting success of applying principles for the national context. This is relating to the UN Shared Guiding Principles for Geospatial Information. So responsible for this is with the member states, but through the Regional Hydrographic Commission, with support from the CB coordinators. And then moving on to goal 3, participating actively in international initiatives related to knowledge of the and use of the ocean. Although I haven't got highlighted there, but this is something that the RHC that we will be supporting the SPIs on this and contributing. And you would have seen the work plan that Hilary showed earlier, how these are feeding into our work plan. And similarly, SPI 3.2.3 around data received by the IHO DCDB. And again, that is forming part of our work plan. So as a subgroup, we've put forward some proposals on how we are able to measure these SPIs for us as a region, and some actions that we would wish to take. So for all the SPIs that have been indicated on the IRC circular letter, we would like to repeat the gap analysis that was undertaken for the previous Commission meeting, and we'll do that intersessionally. And that information will then help support and build a baseline for those SPIs so we know where we're starting from. For SPI 1.2.2, percentage of navigationally significant areas, we would be looking to establish a pilot project to determine and measure using global AAS data. And this is a long-term piece of work, and would be dependent on available funding. There's support from the US in availability of AAS data. In the short term, then this is a piece of work that will be undertaken by coastal states using the information, sorry, that should be from SEAS, from the national reports, which I say as we have done. So the national report templates, capturing that information, navigation in significant areas, and then coastal states using that information to make a start on measuring this SPI. So thank you to all those who have provided that information. Admittedly, I was cursing myself when I suggested this table, as I then had to go and fill it up myself. So I feel those pains of people in larger countries. So moving on to SPI, the capability of member states to meet requirements for S100 implementation. Again, we will circulate intersessional questionnaire for hydrographic officers, read their S100 status on their journey to implementing the plan, and then also we'll have a check-in workshop. Again, we had a S100 workshop earlier, late last year, so we'll repeat that, or something similar to that, to be able to have a check-in with the member states to understand their ability and capability to meet the requirements. So with this SPI, number of HOs reporting success, applying the principles. This is the UN guiding principles. So again, under the national report template, under the section for C55, under the section for MSDI, there was a paragraph, a bullet point added. So again, thank you to those who have supplied the information. So what we're wanting from this commission is to note this report, note the actions that have already been taken, note the proposals to progress the work, and then take any actions as considered appropriate. So thank you for your time. I'll hand back to the chair.
So thank you, Stuart. I think some comments here from me. So this is very much a work in progress for us and other regional hydrographic commissions, indeed for the IHO, IRCC and Council. So these are our initial interpretations, and we need and request your support here across IHO and other regional hydrographic commissions in terms of commenting feedback on our interpretation. So this is very much a first pass for us. So I'm happy to take questions now and we'll take down that final slide and open the floor to any comments. Keen to hear your comments, views, feedback. As I say, this is very much the start of something in a work in progress, and we intend that we will develop this further over this next year. I would say, in the absence of any comments or feedback at this point in time, it does take some consideration, I've got to say, and to look at these SPIs, interpret them in terms of what IRC are requesting, and then to properly explore them through the with member states or through the Commission. So did I hear somebody wanting to add a comment or contribute? Okay, so we'll take an action from this to continue this work and to feed back to IRCC our findings and questions we may have. As I say, very keen to hear the view of other regional hydrographic commissions and IRCC on this work.